Hello, everybody, and welcome to my review of the third and hopefully not the final film in the Chronicles of Narnia series, The Chronicles of Narnia, The Voyage of the Dawn Treader. Another long title. So, the third Narnia movie, based upon the fifth book in the timeline, but the third story with the Pevensies, released in 2010, not directed by Andrew Adamson, I'll have you know. It is directed by Michael Apted. And a bit of background for this movie. After the, well, kind of success of Prince Caspian, but not really the marginal success of Prince Caspian, Disney decided to bow out of the Narnia franchise. They were like, no, we've had enough. Bye-bye. It hasn't done as well as we wanted it to. Bye-bye. So Walden Media were in a bit of a shambles, so The Voyage of the Dawn Treader potentially wouldn't have even have happened if it wasn't for the good fellows at 20th Century Fox, who decided to invest in this project and get the third Narnia movie on board. And thank God that they did. So, The Voyage of the Dawn Treader. Let's go over the plot. The plot is that some time has passed since Prince Caspian, and Peter and Susan have gone off doing their own thing. They're old enough now. They've gone out into the world. Edmund and Lucy are stuck in Cambridge with their cousin Eustace, who is a brat. He's this kind of nerdy, intelligent, intellectual, annoying brat. And they're just not having a good time. They're struggling. They wish they were in Narnia. And things just aren't going well, really. And lo and behold, one day, a magical painting transports them back to Narnia for the third time. Obviously, Eustace for the first time, because he hasn't actually been there yet. And they run into King Caspian, who has, for some reason, got rid of his Spanish accent. And is now the King of Narnia, and he's going on a long sea voyage because Narnia is in a bit of a dark time. And basically, Edmund, Lucy, and Eustace join Caspian, Reepicheep, and the crew of the Dawn Treader to go and find the 7 swords of the 7 lords of Telmar. In order to lay all of the swords on Aslan's table, they will remove the dark green mist that has infected the lands of Narnia. And they have to travel to all these islands to do so, and then enter into an epic battle at the end to finally do so. So, yeah, The Chronicles of Narnia, The Voyage of the Dawn Treader. Well done, guys. Well done. We're back. Thank you, Michael Apted. Thank you so much. Oh, whew. Finally. I have to say, I am really impressed with this movie. I mean, let's just say that the Prince Caspian movie was a little bit of a shambles. I mean, it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't Narnia. Let's just say that. The thing that I most admire about The Voyage of the Dawn Treader is that it brings the magic back. This is what I wanted in Prince Caspian. The magic is back. Thank you. Finally. We have a Narnia movie that is light and fun, not dark and grim and murky. This Narnia movie is a hell of a lot of fun, and thank the lucky stars that we got this movie. Even if it is under a different studio, it doesn't matter. I still really enjoyed this movie. You can tell it's different, obviously. I mean, the movie's directed by somebody else. It's not... Although Andrew Adamson is involved in the movie, however, he is just in the producer's chair, which I think was probably a good move, actually. I think he needed to take a bit of a back seat and let somebody else explore their vision into Narnia. It needed a bit of fresh... It needed fresh eyes, and I think Michael Apted did a pretty good job with his direction. It's a pretty solid direction, I must say. What's interesting about this film also is the fact that they are on the sea pretty much for the entire film, or near enough. The characters are on a seafaring adventure, so there's a kind of a swashbuckling element to it, which I kind of like, which makes it very different to the first two. And yeah, I think it's a lot of fun. I think the characters are wonderful in this movie. What this film does very well is deal with the themes of temptation and insecurity, which is something that I did not expect, and I have to say that's very good. I mean, Georgie Henley as Lucy for the third time. I know I keep mentioning her. For one thing, she is a cutie pie. She really is. And if you're out there, Georgie, you are so cute. Even now, she's cute. She was cute when she was in a little girl in the first movie, and now she's still cute when she's in the third movie. So I think she's cute, and I don't care. I guess I have a bit of a crush on her. You know, what the hell? I don't care. I hold my hands up and say that. Yeah, no, she's adorable, and she plays a really lovely character. The character's still pretty much the same, and I loved the fact that they delved into her stories about insecurity and looks, you know, how she kind of felt like she wanted to be like her sister and, you know, more beautiful, like as beautiful as her sister. And I think it's a fantastic message for young girls out there that you don't need to be like somebody else, just be yourself. And that's something I didn't expect in this movie, which I think was great. And it was appropriate as well for the age of the character, because Lucy is, well, pretty much a teenager in this film. It's kind of weird seeing Lucy as a teenager here because you're so used to seeing her as a young girl in the first two movies. So, yeah, definitely jumped. She definitely aged very quickly. I have to say that. You also have Edmund, played by Skander Keynes. He's pretty good in this movie, and he gets the most he's ever had to do. So, good for him. And I think his scenes are very good. I do feel that bringing back the White Witch to be his temptation is a little bit forced, but I think it works better in this movie than Prince Caspian. The scene of Prince Caspian with the White Witch was just completely thrown in there for no reason. I mean, I understood in terms of the character motivations why they put the scene in there, but it was pointless. With this movie, you can kind of understand because that was what happened in the first film, in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Edmund was tempted by the witch. You know, she gave him Turkish delight, and then he was deceived into betraying his family. So this is kind of reminiscent of that, which I think is very interesting. So that idea was very, very interesting to me. Then, of course, you have the cousin, the new character, Eustace, played by Will Poulter. This guy, this guy's hilarious. I mean, he's very funny. He's a very funny kid. He's a very intelligent guy as well. I think that rings through in his performance. He understands where the character comes from, the time he lives in. There's a certain refinery about him. Like he's kind of, I won't say posh, but like say refined. Sorry about that. And I think it makes a nice change to have a character who's more comedic. I mean, that's what they tried to make Reepicheep comedic in Prince Caspian with Eddie Izzard voicing the character. And in regards to Eustace, his story arc fits very well. He's not just dragged in there for the sake of it. He's a little brat who learns how to be a better person through this experience. I mean, I was kind of at first a little bit disappointed when they turned him into a dragon, because I enjoyed Will Poulter's performance so much. But then he had a very lovely relationship with Reepicheep, the mouse, voiced this time by Simon Pegg, who I think is 10 times better than Eddie Izzard. And Eddie Izzard, I love you, buddy. You are a very good comedian. But yeah, it was yeah. I just think Reepicheep is a much better developed character here. They've kind of changed his character a bit, which I think helps. He's not there for comic relief. He's there to be the heart and soul of this movie, which I think is great. A daring warrior, which I think they should have really done in Prince Caspian. Although the comedy in that was fine, but here the heart of this movie is the relationship between the characters, and I think particularly with Eustace and Reepicheep, that is very, very good. And Simon Pegg gives a great vocal performance, and also the scene at the end when they part ways is very touching. I'll talk more about the ending a bit later. But both Eustace and Reepicheep very good in this movie, and the CGI for Reepicheep I think is better here as well, much better. Then obviously Ben Barnes returns as Caspian. Why he decided to change his accent, I do not know. But I still think his performance is probably better in this movie. In the second movie, he was kind of a pretty boy, and yeah, I mean, his performance is fine there, but it was just like, yeah, you didn't really care about him then. You kind of care more about him in this movie, which is a surprise, really, when you think about it. And I like the tension he has with Edmund, when they're both tempted by the gold, and Edmund says, "Oh, I'm tired of being second fiddle. First it was Peter, and now it's you. And that scene was very good. And he's like, if you think you're so brave, just prove it." And then they're about to fight. Lucy stops them. Like I said, the theme of temptation is done very well, and he takes on much more of a leadership role, which I think is very, very good. I can sort of forgive the inconsistency with the accent, with him changing his accent. It just felt a bit odd to me. It was very bizarre. Just hearing him speak in his normal accent, I was like, what? Hang on a minute. He was a Telemarin in the previous movie. He was like a Spanish, Inquisition. Not Inquisition. A Spanish, prince, and now he's a English. Now he's a British king. It just didn't really make sense to me. But bar that inconsistency, he did pretty well, really, with his stuff here, and his story arc regarding his father. The very end, it really does resolve his character very nicely when he says, I've spent too long wanting what was taken and not what was given. I was given a kingdom because he was going to go and search for his father, but obviously in Aslan's country. But obviously he wasn't able to return. But he decided to stay and be the king, which I think is a very noble decision, and I think that rounds his story very well. It shows he's moving on with his life and getting on. Also, Liam Neeson does appear again as Aslan very briefly, and his scenes are very good, better than the scenes in the previous movie, I thought, as well. The movie's great fun. I mean, it's just so much more fun than the previous film. There's a fair amount of action as well. I will say this, if I do have any criticisms, I do think some of the action is a bit sloppy. Not all of it. Some of it. Like the market one. I just think in the editing sense, it's kind of sloppy as well. Some of the stunts aren't that impressive when compared to the first two. It's the weakest action of the series. But it's still entertaining. There's just a few sloppy action scenes. Although the climax is amazing. I really, really enjoy the end of this movie. The battle with the sea serpent is epic. It really is. And when Edmund has to stab it and kill it, it's amazing. And also when the witch comes back to tempt him as well. It's a powerful moment when the sword lights up and he just stabs the beast, and the witch just screams, "No!" Like you feel like Edmund has come on this journey, because we've seen this character through the entire trilogy, and he's become a lot braver and less selfish than he was in the first movie, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And it's fantastic, a great moment. I really like the score by David Arnold as well. The music score works. There are echoes of original themes by Harry Gregson Williams. Obviously, some of the music does feel very different. And there's a kind of really nice emotional touch to the score as well. Yes. And I have to really give a shout to the ending of this film. My goodness. Oh, the ending is amazing. It's a really heartbreaking scene at the end when they're on the beach and they have to part ways, and, Edmund and Lucy come to the realization that it's their time to go now. They've had 3 adventures here, and they've got to go and live their lives in the real world. And it's a very emotional scene. It surprised me how well Michael Apted actually directed it. There was a tear that was aching to get out, I must say. But because the journeys they've been on, and if you think of that, it kind of prompts you to go, oh dear, oh dear. But and the acting in that scene is really good. And also when Reepicheep leaves as well, that's really heartbreaking for Eustace, to see Eustace cry as well. I mean, I never thought I'd see that in this film. So I have to give props to Michael Apted for that. And it's also their way of basically bringing closure to this. I mean, because if this is the very last Narnia film, then they have brought a nice end to the series. I mean, it is pretty much the end for the Pevensies as far as I'm concerned, unless they make the last battle, which they might well do if they get to make all the other ones first that they haven't done yet. Yes, so I mean, for what it's worth, and they have brought really great closure to the trilogy, and like, you can see the sadness in their faces when it's all over. They just feel so empty, and it's horrible. It's really really heartbreaking to watch, and the final shot of the film is so appropriate. When they put the painting on the wall and then they close the door. Literally, they close the door. It's beautiful. It's a really beautiful ending. So well done, Michael Apted. Fantastic closure to this film. Great ending to the series. You did it proud. I will say that the visual effects, some of them look good, but some of them don't. They're a bit of a mixed bag. I think some of them look kind of, I don't want to say computer gamey, but they don't look as crisp as they did in the first two. I mean, some of the effects do look a little bit better, but not much. Like, it needed to be sorted out. I think there was some of the parts that were rushed with this film. Just like some of the green screen shots are quite obvious, really. Yeah. And the boat is amazing. The Dawn Treader, the design for it is just spectacular. I mean, the whole design for this trilogy has been amazing. I mean, this is, just topped it completely. And I thought the inclusion of the little girl, Gail, or whatever her name was, and her father was kind of pointless, really. It didn't add anything to the movie. I mean, I can't remember if it was in the book. I don't know if I've even read that far into the book. I have read some of the Narnia books. I can't actually remember if I've read the Dawn Treader. Yeah, I just thought, I mean, it was nice to, I suppose it was essentially added in there to emphasize the fact that it was Edmund and Lucy's, longing for their mother, for their family back together. So I guess I could appreciate that. I suppose that was the main reason. But it felt a little bit unnecessary to begin with. It was just like, okay, well, why are they here? But yeah. And, it gets a bit, it's a bit kind of like travel heavy. It's like they have to go to various different islands. They go to quite a lot of places. And yeah, so in that sense, they're kind of going all over the place, but that's the point. It's a seafaring movie, so they do that a lot. I think the pacing is a hell of a lot better than Prince Caspian. And it's also the shortest of the three, which I think helps. This isn't even 2 hours long. It's 1 hour 50 minutes. Yeah, and it benefits from that. It really benefits from the fact that it's shorter. So, thank you for that, Michael Apted. Because Prince Caspian, the first hour was just dull, really dull. But this is nothing like that at all. There's also some really lovely magical moments as well, which is, I mean, it has kind of the action of what the previous movie had, but then the magic of the first movie. So it has a bit of both, but it also feels very different because it's Michael Apted's direction instead of Andrew Adamson. I love the moment when you see the snow. I think that's just really great, and it's a great, reference to the first film. The duffel puds are also very funny and cute. And that scene with Koryarkin as well was very good. And there's a nice reference to the first movie again as well with the map, which shows the battle that took place in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe at the very end. Is this a perfect Narnia film? No, it's not. It could be argued that it has a slightly rushed feel to it, ever so slightly rushed feel to it. I feel that maybe if they stretched it out just about 10 minutes longer, then I think it would have been like well-rounded epic Narnia. I think, I mean, there are parts when they do sort of stop and recuperate, but I think there are times that, like, the beginning kind of throws you in really quickly. Like, it makes no apologies for the fact that it wants to be quicker than Prince Caspian. I think it would have been nice to sort of slow down a bit at the start, but you know, they did sort of slow down towards the middle. Also, I have to mention the fact that even though Anna Popplewell and William Moseley don't make huge appearances, they are in this film. Anna Popplewell a little bit more than William Moseley. Because of Lucy's storyline, they found a way to bring her back, and that was to, you know, the idea that Lucy wanted to be more like Susan. And it kind of all goes back to the end of the last film when Lucy said, "I'm sure when I'm older I'll understand." And yeah, she does understand in this movie. She wants to be a bit more like Susan, but then, you know, she learns the lesson that she can't really. She is who she is. She can't run away from it, and she'll have to just, you know, be thankful for who she is. And I think, like I said, it's a great message for young women to sort of, or young girls to pick up on. So that was great, and you know, there's a nice sense of by the end, sort of. Sorry, I've got a message. There's a nice sort of family aspect to it, because at the end of the day, all the characters are related. Well, or the Pevensies anyway. It's nice to have seen them, how they've all changed since the first movie. I think also the nightmare scene that Lucy has is really quite interesting, quite freaky, and it was a great way to sort of depict her temptation. She had the best one out of all the others, really. Fucking Facebook. Anyway, yeah, so I don't think it's a perfect movie. Like, some of the visual effects could have been cleaned up, and also maybe if they added 10 minutes to the runtime, it wouldn't have so much of a rushed feel to it at the start. But once it gets going, they do sort of stop and slow down a bit at points, so they don't completely rush it. So I'll say that much. The direction by Michael Apted is great, for what it is. It's a pretty good, pretty damn solid Narnia film, and I mean, I don't think it's the last one. They've confirmed that they're doing the Silver Chair next. When it will be, I don't know, but apparently they've got a script in development, so that's interesting. Hopefully the series will continue. But as I said, if it is the last one, they have left it in a very good place. And I'm so glad that they got to make the third Narnia film, The Chronicles of Narnia, The Voyage of the Dawn Treader. So, yes, and yeah, that's really it. The Narnia movies, yeah, I like them. Even though the second movie kind of lets it down, I still think this is a good trilogy. It really is, and I think it's a very magical experience. Ever since the first movie, I was always excited to see the sequels in cinema, and always, I got excited by Narnia. So ever since 2005, I've been in love with Narnia. So cheers. Cheers very much. So, as a final verdict, I am going to rate The Voyage of the Dawn Treader a good 8 out of 10.
Close your eyes and take my hand, yeah. We can be the kings and queens of anything if we believe it's written in the stars that shine above. A world where you and I belong, where faith and love will keep us strong.
Yeah, not a perfect movie, but it's good. It's good. And it's a hell of a lot better than Prince Caspian was, I'll tell you that much. So, yeah, that's it, folks. That's my reviews of the Chronicles of Narnia trilogy. Stay tuned when I review The Grinch, Who Stole Christmas, as another sort of Christmas review. I will try and get the Captain America reviews done, but it is so close to Christmas that time is not really lending itself to me, so I can't promise when I'll get them out, but I will do my very best to get them as soon as possible. I've only got 2 more to do anyway. I'm going to try and review films like Assassin's Creed, if I can, in the new year. Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. And obviously Logan, which comes out in March. I'm looking forward to that. But anyway, thank you for watching my review of the Chronicles of Narnia, Voyage of the Dawn Treader. What do you think of it? Put your comments down below. Let me know. What's your favourite film of the Narnia trilogy? I will have to say The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. Easily the best of the three. Just no question about it. But this is a pretty solid, pretty good ending to the trilogy. And I rank it second in the trilogy. I think it's second best. Prince Caspian is third, but I don't hate it. I gave it a marginal pass. It's okay. It'll do. It's fine, but it's not great. So yeah, that's it, folks. Thank you all for watching, and as always, I'm Mr. TARDIS11. See ya.